the whole construction of it. And so now the time is how we're going to glue all these thousands of pieces of artwork made with over 50 different types of vintage paper from all over the world that has artwork on it, and poetry and history and all this stuff. Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. I mean, I've never seen so many people smile after making art, and I've been doing it for a long time.
So tell us a little bit about, did you know much about large-scale construction and paper when you set out to do this?
You know, artists always use paper, but I've made the Revolve Museum as a nomadic public art organization. So we have a history of transforming abandoned or underutilized or underappreciated public spaces. Our first show back in '84, we transformed 12 abandoned railroad cars in downtown Boston, and we worked with the homeless that were living in the cars, and we had artists and students and young people and the homeless, the public. We've never said no to anybody who wanted to participate. So we have a history of doing large-scale projects in abandoned spaces, but by far this is the largest paper-made object we've ever done. Because usually when you build large-scale stuff, you need strong materials so they withstand even for temporary projects. But this project, when after looking at the Guinness World Records requirements, then we had to, again, adjust our strategies to fit their requirements, but also, we had to figure out how to engineer this thing. It's never been done in the world. So you won't believe the amount of people we talked to regarding how to figure it out and building models and prototypes and testing it and talking to the airport.
Have you been in wind tunnels? Have you been doing that kind of thing?
Well, we live in like the second hilliest town in the United States behind San Francisco, so we don't have that kind of budget to even find that stuff. So we've been doing most of our tests just in the city and in spaces downtown. And what's been neat is that some of these prototypes have been done by 50, 100 people working on it, and then we tried to fly it. And, it looked kind of a little slapstick, kind of the early plane makers, turn of the century or earlier, the ones that have like 12 wings on it and a big eye, and, they try to get it to fly with their hands. And it was a little like that. I mean, it's pretty humorous. But as we started to kind of finesse our approach, we started realizing, the weight played an important role. The wind direction played an important role. We knew we couldn't bring it up in the air too high because we're doing this at a small municipal airport. And, I talked to, I was in a room with all these experts, and they said, okay, make 5 paper airplanes. And the doors were open, and the wind was coming in, and they said, okay, fly it. And then I flew it. And it went in every different direction every 5 times. And they said, you see, that's why you can't get it up in the air, Jerry, because what happens if it turns around and it crashes into your 5,000, 10,000 people? Then it's not safe, right? I said, yeah, safety is first, always, So we have a new strategy to fly it. Although we're not trying to break the flight record. We're actually breaking 2 Guinness World Records for the largest paper airplane, which is, like I said, it's going to be 64 feet long by about 20 feet wide and about 12, 14 feet high.
All right, so let me stop you there, because are you saying that if you break one record, you don't even need to fly it, you just need to build it?
That's right, but you know how many kids would be disappointed, and artists and everybody I talked to, from the mayor to everybody else, to presidents of colleges saying, Jerry, it's going to go up, right? I'm like, absolutely it's going to go up. So we figured out a way to do that, and we're pretty confident we're going to get it up. We're going to basically tow it behind a truck on the runway, into the wind. So so it kind of goes against the grain there, and it's going to be on this transformed trailer so it's on an angle pointing up to the sky. And
so is it going to go up on a cable like a glider? Is it going to be that kind of a launch?
Well, it's gonna launch. It's gonna be some kind of pull switch on this truck, and when it goes between 30 and 40 miles per hour on the runway, everybody I've talked to who are aeronautical engineers and so forth said, it's going to fly. You're going to have to hold it on there, and then you're going to have to press this button or pull a switch or to allow it to let go. And most of the opinions is it will go at least 100 feet up in the air. They're not sure which direction because of the weight of the art on the plane's wings. We're not sure exactly how it's going to be balanced out. You know, we're just artists and kids and teachers, and we're not the traditional engineering, the Michelangelos of the world. We're trying to kind of do this from scratch and just kind of wing it, as they say. But we're pretty confident it's going to go there. It's also breaking the world's largest paper sculpture in the world. So it is an artwork, and the artwork, Rhod, is going to be phenomenal. A lot of the art is being produced responding to world issues, contemporary issues, personal issues, social issues, environmental issues, and so forth. So there's a lot of the content on the plane is really about, giving the world a message from this town, this state. But, now you see what's happening around the world with this youth revolution of sorts, that's happened based on a lot of violence over here. But you can see how these young people are taking leadership roles. I've been waiting for this, with the art. We've been working with kids for so long, and they have such amazing honesty and belief and so, they really are lit up about this and feeling a sense of pride, but they also want to have a voice. They want to use this as a metaphor for telling the world how they feel and what's important to them and how they think they can change the world for the better. So I really, in some ways, that's as meaningful as anything you can, accomplish in life. And so it's really kind of a catalyst, really, to create world dialogue and also use art as a major way of really saying something meaningful and something that's beautiful and something that has been collaboratively built by 5,000 people of all ages, backgrounds. And
so
abilities.
Listen, I mean, I don't mean to sound, kind of curmudgeonly or anything like that, but what actual shape is this thing going to be? Have you decided? Obviously, you've decided by now on a shape that will be aerodynamic. I mean, that was what used to occupy us when we were building paper airplanes, was to decide what kind of shape would fly further.
And I'll tell you, it's like the old school rules, because every plane that we've created, although you can look at the experts and they'll come up with some extraordinary origami, like aerodynamic styles and different ways they can control it. But we found out a regular, generic, paper airplane, the same ones we did as kids, are still what we're using. It's basically just blowing up one you would do right there, and we could do it right here in front of us.
So a sort of a delta wing, an A, if you like.
Yes, exactly. And the thing that's the heaviest part of it is honestly going to be the artwork and then urethaning the artwork, because we want this to be a permanent piece. And the urethane, which is the protective sealing of it, I don't know what they call it in England, but they might call it the same thing. But, we have a lot of glue that we need to use, so we have to glue it down. We have to glue all this cardboard together, which causes some weight, and then you have to use glue for all the artwork, which is literally thousands and thousands of pieces of artwork, that are like, it's almost like a giant collage of sorts. Right. And then you're going to cover this with 2 or 3 coats of urethane, so it's going to be beautiful, reflective, shiny, shimmering paper airplane, but it will have some weight in that way. But it's surprising that weight doesn't seem to be as big an issue to the people that are experts than I thought. Although the lighter, the better. But they said, look at her, although we don't have motors on it or propellers or, jet fuel.
or a 64-foot rubber band. Jerry, fabulous to talk to you. Thank you very much, and very good luck with all that gluing.
Hey, Rhod, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll keep you in touch.
All right. Do that, please. That's Jerry Beck from the Fitchburg Revolving Museum